Week 17 shook up the NFL playoff picture. We had some surprising upsets that lost some people some divisions, and some people got more in the mix than they probably should have been. Let's see where they stand now, the current playoff picture, and what your team needs to make the playoffs. Let's get it started. We're gonna start with the AFC. Teams that have been eliminated from the playoffs. The Denver Broncos, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New York Jets, the Tennessee Titans, the LA Chargers, and the New England Patriots. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Worst record in the AFC. That's embarrassing. AFC teams that are on the bubble. We got the Houston Texans, currently with a 53% chance to make the playoffs. If they win, they're in. 99% chance if they win. Also in the hunt, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin did it again. Now, it's not a guarantee that they win and they get in. They have a 47% chance at the moment. If they win, that jumps up to 67. If they lose, they're not technically eliminated. They have a 16% chance to make it to the playoffs if they don't win this game. But for the Steelers to make it to the playoffs, they have to win, but that's only the beginning. They also need teams to lose or tie. If the Steelers win and the Bills lose, or if the Jaguars lose, Steelers make the playoffs. There's also a scenario where the Texans and the Colts tie that they make the playoffs, but the odds that they tie are pretty low. There's also a crazy scenario that involves Denver, but it's too convoluted. It's not gonna happen. It involves a tie, the Texans and the Colts plus a Denver win. That's pretty far-fetched. Talk about the teams in the hunt, meaning that if the playoffs ended right now, they'd be in the playoffs. That would be the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Buffalo Bills, and the Indianapolis Colts. All three of these teams are a win and they get in. They each have a 99% chance of making the playoffs if they win their game. If Jaguars win, they're in. If they lose, they would also need the Steelers and the Broncos to lose. Plus, Houston and the Colts can't end in a tie. Let me make it simple for you, Jaguars. If you win, you're in the playoffs. If you lose, you need some help for the Steelers and the Broncos. Next up, we got the Bills. Bills, if you win, you're in. If you lose, you need a little bit of help. You need the Steelers to lose, or the Jaguars to lose, or the Texans and Colts tie. Got a couple of outs, but you can take care of business and beat the Miami Dolphins and take that dub. For the Colts, you win, you're in, but you can still take down the division. If the Jacksonville Jaguars lose and the Colts win the AFC South. Wild. But if they lose, they're out. Less than 1% chance, that sounds outrageous. AFC teams that have locked up a playoff spot. The Baltimore Ravens, the Miami Dolphins, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Cleveland Browns. Very impressive that the Browns have made it this far. Good job. This is currently the AFC playoff picture. The Ravens get the first round bye. Colts at Dolphins, Bills at Chiefs, and Browns at Jaguars. Do y'all think it stays this way, or do you think the standings switch up? I think there's some movement. The Baltimore Ravens are locked, but everybody else can move. Except for the Kansas City Chiefs, who are stuck at 3, the Cleveland Browns that are stuck at 5, and that's about it. Because though the Dolphins are locked into the playoffs, they're not locked into the 2 seed. If Dolphins lose, they drop down to the 6th seed, and the Bills pop up to the number 2 seed. Wow, what a jump. That's the difference between playing on the road all the way through and playing at home until you have to face the Baltimore Ravens. Wild. Now the AFC's done, let's talk about the NFC. NFC teams that have been eliminated. The Chicago Bears, the New York Giants, the Washington Commanders, the Arizona Cardinals, the Carolina Panthers with the worst record in the league. Yikes. All these teams have been eliminated. Let's move on. Nobody cares about them. NFC teams that are on the bubble, which means not currently in the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks, the New Orleans Saints, Minnesota Vikings, and the Atlanta Falcons. All these teams need some serious help to get in. Even with the win, the best percentage is 50%. See what they need. Seattle not only has to win, but they also need Green Bay to lose next week to make the playoffs. That could happen. Bears are going to be fighting for their life. Justin Fields needs to win to keep his job, possibly. The New Orleans Saints can win the division if they win and the Buccaneers lose. If the Bucs don't lose, the Saints can still make the playoffs. If the Seahawks lose and the Packers lose. It's a bit of a stretch, but it can happen. It's gonna need to because the Bucs are taking down the Panthers, baby. Book it. The Vikings are a long shot. They're definitely not winning the division. So for them to make the playoffs, they would need Green Bay to lose, Seattle to lose, and either the Bucs or the Saints to lose. That's a lot. I can see why they're only 11% chance to make the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons' only chance at making the playoffs is to win the NFC South. And to do that, they have to win this week against New Orleans Saints, and they need my Bucs to lose. And since we've already established that the Bucs have to take down the Carolina Panthers, I think it's fairly safe to say the Falcons are out of here. Moving on. Teams that are in the hunt, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. Both of these teams are win and get in. The Bucs are gonna win the division if they win, and the Packers will be a wild card. Green Bay would need a lot of help if they lost. So if they win, they're in. If they lose, they need the Vikings to lose, as well as the Seahawks and the Bucs. Or the Seahawks and New Orleans, depending on how the Bucs playoff situation goes. That's not a good sign. There are also 3 scenarios with the tie, but the Green Bay Packers are not tying the Chicago Bears. It's a rivalry. One team will win. They don't do ties. These NFC teams have clinched a spot in the playoffs. The San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Los Angeles Rams. All of these teams are locked into the playoffs. Exactly where they're going to be is still a little up in the air. The 49ers will be the 1 seed. The ones that are really up in the air are the Cowboys, Lions, Eagles, and Rams. Right now, the Cowboys are the number 2 seed. But if they lose and the Eagles win, the Eagles become the number 2 seed. But if both the Eagles and the Cowboys lose and the Lions win, the Lions become the 2 seed. Also, if the Green Bay Packers win and the LA lose, can go to 7 and the Packers can go to 6. The NFC is not locked in. There can be movement on every front except for the 49ers. They're locked into where they are. That's gonna do it for the current playoff scenarios. Who do you think's gonna win? Who do you think's gonna lose? It's about to get pretty interesting. I'll have some more videos coming out soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell down below. If you have any questions, hit me up. Hope your team makes it to the next round. Peace.